It's been a long time since I fooled with the skidder truck. Last time I used it, I brought home 2 full truckloads. It was a 500 board foot per trip. I helped an old man out live down yonder, and I had duals on it. There's that wheel. I had rigged up some duals because I was just sinking in the. It was winter last time I ran it. I just kept sinking on a different logging job. So I put duals on with some carriage bolts, some like grade 2, hardware store carriage bolts. You can see what it looks like on the other side here. And it worked. I mean, I just clamped one wheel up against the other one. It worked fine. But you can't get any real torque on there because you're just torquing rubber into rubber. So the bolts don't get the right stretch. And even if they did, they're wimpy. And so they started wobbling. One of them was wobbling. And I knew it was happening. I mean, I was watching the wheel bouncing around. And ping, 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 ping. It snapped all them bolt heads and the wheel went thump. I was going about a mile per hour. The thing about it that I realized was that having the second wheel did make a huge difference. And you can tell when you have a full load on and you lose one of your duals, you can look at the squat of that one wheel versus the squat of that pair. And you have no questions in your mind. The pair is doing half the work each. Okay, so I want them duals on there. They really do help with the flotation. It doesn't go down the road very good. Now, if I was going to go to a tractor type job, like say I was going to go drag a seed drill or something like that, maybe a disc harrow. If I was going to drive at 30 miles an hour down the road to a field a couple miles away, I would actually pull the duals, throw them on the bed, drive down the road because it would drive a lot nicer. When you throw the duals on, you're bouncing all over the place, like really hard bouncing. And, you can only go 25 or 30 because the bouncing is so severe. But I got a charged up battery. I'm not winching right now, so I only need one. It's a Group 31 tractor battery. And the thing that I really have had a problem with is these new fuels and old engines. So these carbureted deadhead style, maybe 4 psi fuel systems, float bowl carburetor type, they do not like this new fuel because the new fuel has got so much corn alcohol, grain alcohol that it boils off at lower temperatures. So the solution, I hope, is going to be this return line filter so that the pump, mechanical pump, is always recirculating back to tank. And hopefully that prevents my vapor lock issue from happening. Now on these old Fords, I mean, my most successful video ever was this truck figuring out the ignition, intermittent ignition, which is the slide switch on the column. The next most common reason these things will stall, now listen to me here, a hard pull, warmed up engine, warm day or a hot day, hard pull, lots of heat, and then you come to a stop. Let's say you just climbed a hill pulling a trailer and you came to a stop at a light, and now you got to sit there and idle. That's the moment when the thing will just and it'll stall and it won't restart. If you had clear fuel lines or a clear filter, or if you could see in your float bowl, there'd be nothing in it, dry, bone dry. You shoot some gas down in that 4-barrel and crank the key and it's going to fire up, but there's not going to be any gas to keep it running. So I did put a riser, a 1/2-inch phenolic spacer type riser down in the under the carb, that black thing with double gaskets to try to cut down on the heat. I think I might have even put some heat resistant paste or something. I thought that the heat was transferring up from the intake into the carb, but it's happening back here. It's the dwell time. That's why I got it wrapped in foam to try to keep the heat out of there. It still wasn't enough. But what I'm doing right now is I've got, and by the way, 1/4-inch Gates 30R7 fuel hose, $4 a foot now. It's cheaper to buy steel line than it is to buy rubber these days. So I'm running a steel line for the bulk of the stretch, and then I'm going to just do rubber connections from a scrap of hose that I got. And my fuel tank over here is just an old oxygen bottle welded to the log bunk and to the frame up there. This is my filler. I got to add another hole because this is going to be my return line, and there's going to be another for a vent. I'm pretty sure I still need a vent line. This was my vent, which just looped up here to a magnet so that it looped over, and if I ever rolled the truck, I could just tie that in a knot so it wouldn't, dump out. This is my old, I don't think it's a return line. I think it's some old emissions line, but I blew through that, and it's got too much restriction. It's just too small. In case you're wondering how I did it, I made a sump sucker type thing by just I welded a fitting that fit, there's a rubber hose and there's a steel, like, sump strainer, steel mesh, like a screen type thing down in there. So this filler neck goes to the bottom. It's got a cap on the bottom, and it's got a couple holes so that slosh will get in there and it will maintain suction for the downhill type driving situations where I'm worried about losing prime, basically. Haven't had it happen yet. Maybe it will. If it does, I'll come up with something better, but for now that's working pretty well. Best thing I ever did with this is I put a flush drain plug in the bottom, because this thing sits so long that the fuel goes just all varnished, rancid, stinky, and you know, I got to drain it out and put fresh stuff in once in a while, so I'm really happy about that. Anyway, I'm gonna run this line and make that connection and go grab a wrench and reconnect the battery terminals and see if it'll start. I know I also have to wire up a voltage regulator because that one cooked, and I was parbuckling logs onto the deck with a winch, and it was an all day winching. So I was, and with that thing failed, I was having to put a jumper wire to it to run full field. So I was getting full battery, you know, full alternator output into the battery, and then not, and you know, running it down and then charging it up, and yeah, it wasn't a great situation. So I got another regulator. I should probably, I mean, I keep these in stock. The starter solenoids I keep in stock, and I might as well just keep them regulators in stock because I use these old Ford parts for any kind of machine I build. That's what I use.